It's a nice and lovely Tuesday evening, and it's time for the Never Dull Moment program on radio that's talking about Ground Zero. I am Ehis Agbon, and today on Ground Zero, we will be bringing you, the listener, to be part of the discussion, because what we'll be talking about today is something that concerns you and something that you must have to be a part of, unless, of course, you are not proud to be in Nigeria, and that's when you would say this particular issue that I'll be talking about does not concern you. But however, I'll urge us all to be part of today's program, as we'll be looking at the forthcoming constitutional review hearing that will be taking place in Kaduna, and we'll be looking at what the citizens need to know and how they can participate. Okay? That's what we'll be talking about today. But meanwhile, I'd like to let you know that Ground Zero is a program that's designed to bring up topical issues in the polity. And with you, the listener and guest in the studio, we try to analyze these things and try to make sense out of them, while giving you an opportunity to also add your voice to whatever conversation that we are having on the program. So, without wasting your time again, I'd like to introduce our guest this evening. I have Gloria Kasang Bulus. She is from Bridging the Gap Initiative. Bridging the Gap, sorry. Bridge that gap. All right, Gloria, you're welcome to Ground Zero.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you. It seems you've put on some weight.
Yeah, we thank God for God.
As knees off.
Yes. I'm sure you already had that voice too. That's the voice of Bako Abdul Usman. He is the president, Campaign for Democracy. Abdul Usman, you're welcome to Ground Zero.
It's my pleasure. Good evening to the listening public.
Okay. Also joining us in the course of the program, we have a parliamentary and a developmental strategist in the person of Paul Onwude. Very soon he will join us on the program, and together we'll be looking at the constitutional review hearing that will be held in Kaduna on Wednesday and Thursday. That's tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and checking out how we all can be a part of it. But meanwhile, other platforms where you can add your voice to our conversation this evening is if you go to the Invicta FM Facebook page at Invicta FM Kaduna. You see the post, it's up there. Add your voice to it and let's get talking. Also, you can go to the Twitter handle of Invicta FM at Invicta FM 989. Also to Instagram at Invicta FM 989, where you see the post, and also let's know what you think about it. And of course, the program specific Twitter handle is ground 0247 at ground 0247. That's the program specific Twitter handle. But meanwhile, I'd like to give a little background on all of this, because Kaduna State will host Northwest Constitution Review hearing that's taking place from tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Senator Kabir Gaya will chair the two-day Northwest Zonal Public Hearing of the Senate Committee on Review of the 1999 Constitution, which will hold in Kaduna. The public hearing, which will be hosted by the Kaduna State Government, will be held at the Hassan Kasina House, and sitting will commence at 10 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. daily from Wednesday and Thursday. A statement issued by the Special Advisor on Media and Communication to Governor Nasser El-Rufai said that contributions from civil society groups, professional associations, trade unions, and other interested bodies from the Northwest states of Kaduna, Kano, Jigawa, and Katsina states will be collated during the hearing. According to the statement, the public hearing will receive memoranda and contributions on 17 broad issues, including gender equity and increased participation of women and vulnerable groups in governance, the federal structure in governance, and power devolution. Also listed, we have local government administration and local government autonomy, public revenue, fiscal federalism, and revenue allocation, as well as constitutional provision for the establishment of state police. The statement further said that the public hearing will deliberate on judicial reform, electoral reforms that will make INEC deliver transparent, credible, free and fair elections, political parties, independent candidature, and election management. Also slated for deliberation are socio-economic rights as contained in Chapter 2 of the Constitution, residency and indigenship removal of immunity in prima facie criminal cases, timeline for the assent of bills and passage of appropriation bill. It will also look at the issue of state and local government creation, strengthening the office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Auditor General of the Federation, and Office of the Attorney General of the Federation will be discussed at the event. Federal Capital Territory Administration, the legislature and the legislative bureaucracy, constitutional rules for traditional rulers, and any other issue that promotes the unity and good governance of the nation will also be deliberated upon. Broadly, this is the background on it, and like I said, I have interested parties with me in the studio this evening, and together we'll be rubbing our minds in respect of all of this. Yes, when we hear about the Constitution, the first thing that comes to the mind of the average Nigerian is looking for the lawyer there, forgetting that the Constitution is a document for all of us. Even that man that can not even read and write should also have a say. The professor that has gathered all of the academic titles in the world should have a say. The Constitution is for every Nigerian. So let's get talking. We'll come straight to starting from the democracy campaigner in the person of Abdul Bako Usman. 1999 Constitution. Severally over the years, people have called for so many things in respect of the Constitution, because first they would say, when they say we the people, who are the people that actually wrote the Constitution? Abdul Bako Usman.
Yes, Ehis, it's a pleasure, and I so much like your background and starting on the preamble of the 1999 Constitution as amended. You see, when the military were in power, and when we took up on them, they hurriedly, when I mean hurriedly, they hurriedly packaged something that will be a guiding principles for the nation. Otherwise, then in their time, it was the time of a decree when the head of states feels he has something of interest. He will just go and
to the radio station and television
announce that I have this and decree this that says back me up, and this will be done in the next few hours, and that will be done because of the fear of the AK and the armaments. So when we struggle fully to say that democracy should come to play, they felt the issues of the degree that they were proclaiming at then would not be necessary in a democracy, which is not even a welcome development. They hurriedly package a document that says we the people as a constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this will be an argument for yet another day. Somebody within that constitutional creation happened to say that when the 1999 elections came and President Olusegun Obasanjo took mantle of leadership, the country never had any document to call their own. But after a while, when criticisms were going and people were trying to unveil the negativity within the hurriedly packaged handing over of into going into democracy, they brought up this document that we are saying we the people, which if you look inwardly and you search further, nowhere at no time ethnic nationalities that comprises the citizenry of this nation sat together to bring up a document that they will hold on to and say this should be our guiding principle, this should be where we will be looking up to as the rules and rules of engagement as we go further. So it was just a hurried packaged deliberate document that the military put upon us, and they say we the people. For now, we are craving the indulgence of the National Assembly that no matter how we are going to tweak, rejig, and re-angle this constitution, it will not be as if ethnic nationalities, no matter how the minority, the majority will come on board, let's have a document that is binding on all of us. Otherwise, we will still be having we the people where the people never met.
All right, Gloria Kasang, Abdul Bako rightly captured that. Now, we are here now, and the way the people document is what is operational as it were now. The review, what is there a need for a review? Why are we even reviewing? What are we reviewing and why are we reviewing? Is there a need for any review of the 1999 Constitution? Let me qualify it.
Let me write on Abdul Bako's words. For a document that was hurriedly produced, and we don't know where it was produced, whether it came from under the bed or from on top of a tree or from wherever it is, you should know that that document might not really capture what is needed, what is necessary for it to be a guiding principle in terms of governance. I think our constitution is what is what governance is riding on. And so if that document is faulty or does not cover up what is needed, then I think we'll have some wobbling kind of governance. But not necessarily if a review is going to happen, not necessarily that everything there is completely obsolete or not applicable. But then a lot of things have changed, and so there's always a need to review such documents. Some of this we have had quite a lot happen, and there are a lot of emerging trends when it comes to in terms of governance and a lot of things. So the governance system keeps changing, and if that was produced during the military regime, we're now in the civilian regime.
Yeah.
So I think there's a need probably to try to review that document. So if the document is using probably the word is, maybe we're trying to change it to are because of we're trying to come to terms with the present reality. Then probably there's a need for maybe to further add some lines in the constitution, and so that gives us an opportunity. And of course, looking back, and let me take us back to the Electoral Act. There's been a lot of shouting and screaming and all sort of comments and around the Electoral Act, and so it's for me. If the constitution, if the Electoral Act is one of those issues that will be amended in the constitution, then this review is actually needed. Because I mean, if the old way of doing things, the elections, we should move, like I said, with the new trends, with what is on ground. I'm very sure Ehis back those years, if you had a 3310, you were a big boy. I know those times Abdul Bako was using that to impress the people around him. He had a 3310, then he moved to, was it Sajem or 3310 that came? Yes, and so now we have moved on to iPhones, we have moved on to Samsung, and OS keep being upgraded and stuff like that. So the constitution too is like that. So we have to move with the new emerging trends that are coming up, you understand. So I think the review is actually necessary, and but it is only necessary, and it will only be effective if the voices of the citizens is actually heard. Abdul Bako said, I don't know if Abdul Bako actually know where the 1999 constitution was produced, but now that we have an opportunity to actually pinpoint and say this is where the constitution is being reviewed, then I think it's actually it's a good one for us, because for a document that we don't know how it came into being, you see, there's a lot of problem. But this one, this time around, at least when but in 2020, we'll be able to say in 2021 this document was reviewed in so place, and then of course history student can take it over. Abdul Bako can bring his kids together and then tell them the story about how the constitution has was amended, and how now we can pinpoint where it came from. So I think this review is needed and is quite timely.
Okay, I think what we'll do now is let's look at these the points and the areas where there are calls or demand for review, and I think there are about 17 of them or thereabouts.
Yes, 17.
Let's quickly run through some of them and see. No, before we get to that, I think there's a need for the people to understand why they have to be part of this review and how they should be part of this review if it's not already too late, as it were, because they are to come in groups, because presentations are not taken from individuals. They will come in group, which they must have submitted to either the groups that they formed or put together, and these groups are the ones that will collate and submit their documents to the secretary of the review committee, and the secretary will now, they will look, of course there's going to be 1,001 of such submitted items. They will look at it and include it to part of what they will be looking at, and amongst them they will select those that would come and make physical presentation. Now, talking about all of this, what do you think? Would that be right for me to say? What do you think some of the people will be looking at, or the problems that some of the people have with these listed 16 or 17 items that we are looking at? Maybe we'll take it from the first one, which has to do with gender, and the one on gender, the first item on that list that was published.
Gender equality and increased participation of women and vulnerable groups in government.
That particular area has been one that over years people have been calling for it. The issue of gender inclusion, I know that from the Beijing conference, 35% was recommended, and to a large extent, maybe some countries, or we are talking of Nigeria now, some states have attempted to do that, but has it been like that at all? And what are some what do you think the gender issues are in Nigeria? How do you think the constitution can address this? Random thoughts, though.
For me, I look at gender issues in Nigeria to be a deliberate attempt not to put the country on the lane of fast growth, because when you have most especially women in positions of authority, they are more or less caregivers, and as caregivers there are more emphatic nature. Their emphatic nature creates an avenue for growth within the system, but deliberately the Beijing conference is being negated in our country, and the best that the women folks have regarding electoral positions are nomination forms. They will give you nomination form when electioneering period comes, and after that, there is no total support. Like now, let me bring the case study of Kaduna State here. All through the state executive positions, if not for the nominations of the governor that nominated a deputy governor as a female, I think we only have just one female representative among 1,000 others. So it is quite painful, and it is an issue that women should rise up to meet up to that demand of the Beijing affirmation order. Because looking at what is happening today, you will see that the chunk of the electoral votes that comes to play the role of electing representative, they comes from the women and the younger youth generation. So women should be actively involved in making sure that governance in this country has come to stay, and their contribution should be seen to cater for a more befitting Nigeria than what we are seeing today. Otherwise, you see them end up as women leaders, and that's it. In some places, you even see Ministry of Women Affairs are given to men. So it's quite painful. So for me, I think, Glo, you need to ginger the system very well, and we as men, we need to support the females to aspire for positions of authority, not by nomination or selection.
Okay, this particular review now is going to have it that is specific, that there will be a constitutional backings to it, not just the whims and caprices of whoever is in power just to please or just to be politically correct or so. They need to meet up the number. But this time around, once the constitution is amended to have it that a certain percentage must be women, that way there's no shying away from it. There's going to be inclusion, and everybody will be part of it.
You see, Ehis, it's just because we don't respect our protocols and our rules and laws. You that went to sign a treaty that says affirmative order of this, you should respect it. But let's hope that when it goes to the constitution will be more respected. Because having seen what is happening within governance in this country, you agree with me that there are certain things that are constitutionally they are being negated by authorities. People are more superior in power than institutions.
I think agreeing with you, Abdul. You see, our problem here is we try to pick up laws and policies that are wishful, that we cannot implement in this country, and so we begin to pick. It's like you go down to another country, a developed country, you're picking their laws and their policies, and you're bringing here without localizing it. And then how then do you want to implement such policies? And then at times you see some of our policy documents in this country, they are very rich. When I mean they are really very rich, and then you begin to wonder, wow, these are very good documents, but the level of implementation, how will they be implemented? We're coming back to, we don't have those strategies. We're clueless on that. Right. It's not, to me, I think having policies or laws on ground that we cannot implement is as good as nonsense to me. It's as good as why have them in the first place? So I think let's begin to think of how, let's do things that have policies that are possible, that is very easy for us to implement. Then another thing is citizens don't even understand what these laws and policies are. When you ask them, they're ignorant of these things. So we don't even know what it is. So it's like having just a document and then you drop it on your table or so, and then when something happens, you're hearing that there's a policy, there's a law on this, and the citizens don't even know that such documents exist. And even this public hearing, a lot of people are not even aware of it. So then how can we make meaningful input in this review? And if you say this law is for us to understand our rights, is for us to get our governance structure right, is for us to get governance going, you understand, in this country, and then citizens do not have the opportunity to make input. So why all the public hearings in all the different zones if citizens will not have the opportunity to make any input? For me, even 2 days is not even enough for citizens to voice, to be part of the public hearing. 2 days is not enough.
Well, the program is Ground Zero in Invicta 98.9 FM. We'll quickly take some commercials, and when we come back, we'll go on with our conversation on the review of the 1999 Constitution. All right, let's go. All right, welcome back from the commercial timeout. You're still listening to Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM. Before we took the commercial break, we are looking at the first item. We will not have time to comprehensively look at all of these items. I'll just run through some of them, then we'll randomly pick anyone to talk about, because we really would want to give an opportunity to the listener to also be a part of this. After the gender equity and increased participation of women and vulnerable groups that will be looked at in this constitutional review, there is also going to be the federal structure in governance and power devolution, where adjustment of legislative list, the second schedule, distribution of power, then political, economic, and governance restructuring, possible adoption of the tenets of the 1960 and 1963 Constitution, and high and unsustainable cost of governance, and adherence to the federal character principles in appointment and other issues of governance is a major area that people will be looking at. Let's quickly just look at that.
Yes, Ehis, you see, especially on the part of federal character.
Yeah.
We have so much abuse the federal character aspect of it, and today Nigerians are not seen to be carried along when it comes to issues of employment and appointments. And those are creating eyebrows, and they are quite creating tensions and limiting the love we had for ourselves during the days of when issues around federal characters were brought on board, unity schools were brought on board, and intermarriages and the NYSC. So I think it is high time we revisit those things our forefathers had on board and rejig it and put together. When you talk about restructuring, this review is part of the restructuring process we are having. It must not be that we throw the baby with the bathwater completely and start on a new pedestal. But this small rejigging, re-angling, and remending the restructuring we are clamoring for.
All right, quickly looking at the local government administration and local government autonomy. There are, among those of the things listed, there's a clear definition of the status of the local government as the third level of government in the Constitution, where the local government will be standalone. They will not be subject to twisting and manipulation by the second tier, which is the state level. This is one of the areas that I know many people will be looking at, and a clear procedure for the creation of additional local government, constitutional provision and protection of the tenure of elected local government officials. One elected level, that's at the state level, cannot just come and sack, remove, and throw away another tier that was also elected. These are areas that the Constitution amendment is also going to be looking at. Gloria, what do you think about that?
On this local government autonomy, I think it is a very key area that needs to be looked at, and it saddens me that it looks as if the local government is going through some kind of oppression or dictatorship kind of system where you, as a local government chairman, you don't really have a say. And having forgotten that there's a lot at local government. Local government is where the citizens are. Local government is where whatever intervention or governance triggers down even to the community level. And so you begin to wonder what is happening. And just like you said, these people, the chairmen are duly elected, but it seems there's this godfatherism dictatorship that dictates who comes on seat, who does not come on seat. And even if the allocation in terms of finances too is actually a problem, there are times it saddens you when you hear how some of these allocations don't even go down to the local government level. And even I heard there are some states I wouldn't want to mention that once the money goes into the local government will have to send it back to the state account, and then they give them whatever they feel like giving them. And so that is why, because the state relies so much, the cost of governance at state level is very high. And so if they cannot cut down on their expenses, that is why they have to keep cutting down and oppressing those at local government.
They shouldn't put their stress on the local government.
Exactly. And so by the time we have autonomy, I'm very sure a lot of even in terms of service delivery, there's going to be a lot of improvement at local government level. You begin to see the impact, and it definitely will trigger down to even that common man on the street, that common man in that local government. So this autonomy is very, very important. I think even
let's quickly listen to Eddie Ochibo. I'm sure he wants to add his voice to this conversation. Eddie Ochibo.
What a wonderful insight and conversation today, citizenry.
Yes.
My sister Gloria and President Cafe for Democracy,
well done, sir. Well done, sir. Thank you.
My contribution is this. Yes, review, amendment, whatever nomenclature you want to call it, there are nuances and grammar. I heard someone who was trying to analyze this issue where the conundrum and the quag where we find ourselves in the country today is, if you really want to do this thing, that is what we really need is a new constitution. But like President of the Campaign for Democracy said, we cannot just throw away with the bad water and then start afresh. But the real thing is that the flaw, the 1999 Constitution amended, is totally a flawed document. It's a flawed document. So to amend it is like going through each line.
Okay.
And take this, change that. That's like a new constitution. We need a new constitution, but the situation we find ourselves today, let's start from somewhere. But I think what we really need a new constitution that will emphasize the issue of making governance less attractive, devolution of powers, taking governance to local government, as Gloria put it, because that is where it begins. But they look at the local government areas or administration, if like a plague. Everything there is rubbish. But then where do you start? You have a federal Republic of Nigeria that is totally unitary. The center has all the powers. Even want to try to irrespective of land decree, the center is trying to even intervene in land, and so on and so forth. So all these things are things that should be reflected. So if you want to reflect everything at once, it means that we need a new constitution. But that's for another day. But the review is totally well timed. And all the people like Gloria who have anchored to this level want to, give them kudos and say that, look, it's not just enough to review our men, but let's look for how we will actually bring about the people's constitution. The people's constitution. Somebody talks about 1963 constitution, which will give power to the regional government.
Oh,
The regional government was, empowering the center, not as we have today. In the name of federalism, the center is empowering the sub-nationals. It doesn't go that way. So my contribution is that I want to say well done to all the effort that have been put in.
Okay.
But we need more than amendments.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Eddie Ochido. Okay. Coming back to the studio, let's continue with our conversation and quickly also look at some of those other areas like constitutional provision for the establishment of state police, judicial reforms, electoral reforms to strengthen INEC to deliver credible, fair, and free elections. We also have socio-economic rights as contained in Chapter 2 of the Constitution, residency and indigenship issue, and immunity clause in the Constitution. Okay, that one was also another very topical issue. I recall yesterday at a forum where we were discussing all of this. It was very heated, where people were looking at the level of immunity, what kind of immunity should be left and the ones that should be removed. There's also the FCT administration is also an issue. The legislature and legislative bureaucracy, how to cut that down. Then constitutional rules for traditional rulers was another very, very heated discussion yesterday, where constitutional inclusion of traditional rulers in the local government administration, establishment of a national council for traditional rulers, facilitation of harnessing cultural and tourism endowment and potentials, and attraction to create employment for our people at the traditional level, need to facilitate and strengthen security at the local government level by our traditional rulers, how they can boost agriculture and the promotion of environmental sanitation, protection of public facilities and natural resources, provision of emoluments for traditional rulers, and provision for procedure of removal either by the subject or the state. This was also a very, very heated one, and so many people were saying that I think some aspect of it should be left out of the Constitution because we are from diverse culture and traditions, and trying to squeeze everybody to one style may not be too palatable to many people in the country. Exactly. These broadly are the things we will be looking at. I think let's hear from the public, then we can react to some of their comments. 081-40,989 and 070-87-800-989 are the numbers to dial. Hello, good evening, welcome to Ground Zero.
Hello, good evening, Ehis.
Good evening, you're welcome to the program.
Bako, welcome back on time. My name is Musa Bala.
Musa Bala.
Yes. Let me quickly restrict myself to the constitutional review. Yeah. Please, we are analysts. By the time that we begin to call the 1999 Constitution names that even people on the street cannot call it, we are simply degrading.
We'd like you to qualify that. We'll be happy if you clarify. We want you to clarify the names that we call it. I have
somebody saying that something that come down whether from the tree or what. It is in that studio they just mentioned it. That is what I'm saying. Okay. And the Constitution, 1999 Constitution, was not written by the military in power. They assembled credible civilian people in Nigeria.
The military assembled, or the people of Nigeria assembled.
What I'm saying, the people that wrote that Constitution are the credible, are people for Nigerian society.
It's the Nigerian people that should decide that, not the military, really.
What I'm saying, it is not the military, but it is under military administration.
Yeah.
They invited civilians, professionals, people that talk and listen, people, the same type of people that will be invited during this review. They are the ones that sat down and put down that constitution. It is not the military in uniform that wrote that constitution. They only call people, Nigerian people, credible people, to sit down and do it. They did it. And they are the ones that say, we, the people of Nigeria. And the same constitution that we now found bulky guilty was very comfortable for 16 years when PDP was in power. I want to...
Musa Bala, I put it to you that constitution has severally been attempted to be changed right from 2003, Musa Bala.
I understand.
From 2003. So not for 15 years.
The level at which we describe it now cannot be compared to how we describe it then.
Yes, because over the years, Nigerians keep developing in democratic ethics, and thankfully we now have an administration that gives the opportunity for us to talk about it.
Let me have my say so that we just finish that. See, let us spend the next 10 years writing this constitution. As soon as we finish, other new measures will evolve in Nigeria, and we'll still talk about it.
Of course, it's a continuous process, constitution.
So I concluded by saying that the history of Nigeria will never be finished or will never be completed without the military. Military created a state of the federation, 774 local government, and the military gave us all the major roads in Nigeria, and they are part and parcel of this, the history of Nigeria. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Musa Bala. 081 40,989 and 07087 Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Hello, good evening. Ehis and the guest at the studio there.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My area of concern is state police.
Okay.
So what happened during the this labor strike here in Kaduna has created a lot of fear, because if you see the way tours were organized in vehicles, and before that, already the governor was not having good relationship with the labor people. So this state police, are you people sure that the state governor are not going to misuse it?
That is why the constitution review. That is why the constitution. Hello.
Yes. Would they not? If the review is
yes.
The state governors not misuse the, if it is created, for example, would they not go to misuse the state police?
Once the modus operandi is stated clearly in the constitution, it will be difficult for any state governor to manipulate it. And don't forget, they are not scrapping the federal police, and the federal police will still play a supervisory role.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the program.
God bless you, sir.
And you too.
Yes, I have everything.
We bless God. What's your name? Quickly, let's have your take.
God bless you, Invicta FM, sir.
Amen.
Well done, sir. I just got to greet you, sir.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the greeting. 08140,989 is the number to dial to add your voice to our conversation this evening. All right. On our Facebook page, we have Kelechi Ikeocha also greeting us and appreciating us for this topic. We'll quickly take this last call and move on with the show. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Ground Zero.
Good evening, Ehis.
Good evening. Quickly, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Tai, calling from Bona.
All right, let's have your take.
Mr. Ehis, seriously, I have to be honest with you. 1999 Constitution is a fraud. Is the problem of the country that what we're passing through is because of the 1999 Constitution. Some elite in the north, they sit down in the...
Some elites in Nigeria. I wouldn't want you to sectionalize this because it affects everybody.
Let's look at that. Now, they sit down in their comfortable room to design a constitution that will favor a particular set of people, then will make people like me and you a second-class citizen. 1999 Constitution is a fraud.
Well, I think we have to leave it at that. The 1999 Constitution may not be perfect, but it is not a fraud. It's still our Constitution. All we are doing is trying to make it better, because even the best Constitution in the world can only be good. Can only be as good as the people make it to be, because the Constitution will not implement itself as it will. We'll quickly come back to the studio and take our parting shots, because we have barely 2 minutes to wrap it all up. In 1 minute, Gloria, let's have your parting shot as you round up.
Well, I know the time is really very short for citizens to partake, but then some have already started working on it, like in Kaduna. We have put together a committee. We had a citizens engagement yesterday organized by Yaga Africa, and we have put in our issues together that are peculiar to us in Kaduna. And also we have Sokoto, Katsina, and Kano coming into Kaduna, because Kaduna is a host for the Northwest. And so today we are meeting with them at tonight for us to sit down and discuss and see how we can do a joint presentation as from the Northwest. I think that way our voices will be amplified, and then most of our issues will be carried on, because looking at some of the issues we have across states, it's kind of almost the same things, issues that we are all concerned about. So I think that way our voices will be strong, and we will be able to have an opportunity during the public hearing. Also, I'm calling on citizens that after the constitution has been reviewed, this is not the time for us to sleep. This is the time for us to be on our toes. This is the time for us to lobby. This is the time for us to come up with as many strategies as possible, from lobbying, from advocacy visits, to all sorts that we can do and engage with the government to ensure that this constitution answer its true name, and of course favors our rights as citizens. Thank you.
Right. Time never permits us to dwell seriously on these issues, and this is the right time for citizens to say, okay, enough is enough, because apparently our legislators from the National Assembly are supposed to take lead of this process by coming back to their constituents to tell us that this is what is coming on board, not us picking it on the street without being informed. So I think we would have dwelled much on the electoral aspect of it, but citizens should be mindful. And after this, as Gloria lightly said, they should be willing and able to engage with their representative at the national level to make sure that most of our articulated issues have popular voices. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Gloria, Kasang, Bulus, and Bako, Abdul, Usman, for having time to be on the program today.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
The Constitution Review kicks off tomorrow all the way through Thursday. Make our time to follow it and understand what these issues are, and add in your voice to all of it by holding your elected officials, the legislature, accountable. Okay, on Saturday we'll be on again for another package of the program Ground Zero on Invicta 98.9 FM. Between now and then, I would say, like always, before you claim right of way, make sure you are safe and not sorry. I am Ehis Agbon, the peacemaker. See you on Saturday.